Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 4th Annual Reagan Institute Summit on Education. This summit, like so much in our lives and so many of our schools over the past 17 months, is hybrid, part in person, part virtual. For those here in person, thank you for joining us at our brand new Reagan Institute building, just across from the White House in Washington, D.C. We've waited a long time to host you. For those joining us virtually from so many other locations, thank you for participating in RISE. Just like our education system, this education summit has adapted and innovated through a time of historic disruption. This pandemic has demanded so much of our students, parents, and teachers, and it's shaken the foundation of our system, exposing and exacerbating achievement gaps. But out of crisis comes innovation. And that's our focus today, innovation. We have a narrow window of opportunity to decide what from the old system still works. What do we want to preserve? And what relics of the past can we do away with once and for all, so that we can build an education system that is the envy of the world and that propels us into the 22nd century? We're not likely to have an opportunity like this again to hit a reset, to make big changes and bold reforms. If we don't use this chance, then we're likely to fall back into our outdated habits. And with each month and year, those old habits will be harder to break. As with so many issues in Washington and state capitals, many Americans think we're too divided to ever agree on a path forward for education. But at the Reagan Institute Summit on Education, we believe otherwise. We're joined by members of Congress from both political parties. We're honored to have secretaries of education who have served under Democratic and Republican administrations, Secretary Page and Secretary Duncan. We will hear from 5 sitting governors from across the political spectrum: Governor Polis of Colorado, Governor Hogan of Maryland, Governor Ducey of Arizona, Governor Lee of Tennessee, and Governor Hutchinson of Arkansas. We also have representatives from groundbreaking nonprofits and from leading corporations. Leaders from Zoom and T-Mobile will talk to us about closing the digital divide. And Megan Phelps Roper, a political activist who famously left the Westboro Baptist Church, will share her experience and expertise on how we combat polarization and extremism in our society. Gathering people with diverse perspectives united by a common mission is how we best uphold the legacy of a president who was famous for having friendships across the aisle. President Reagan knew how to work with leaders in both parties through compromise and consensus, which, by the way, are not synonyms for failure, but rather the signs of a true statesman. And that's what our education system needs today. It's what our students' future depends upon. President Reagan always had his eye on the future. He was devoted to a future that allowed all Americans to prosper and reach their full potential. A quality education is what can make that possible. As he put it, quote, "Education has been a mainspring for our democracy and freedom, a means of providing gifts of knowledge and opportunity to all citizens, no matter how humble their background, so they can climb higher, help build the American dream, and leave a better life for those who follow." In an age of misinformation, of historical illiteracy, of aggressive foreign competition, and of widening inequality, we have to commit ourselves to providing those gifts. And that means turning crisis into innovation. For many Americans, just the mention of President Reagan brings to mind the image that he helped make so famous of America as a shining city upon a hill. He described it as, quote, "a tall, proud city built on rocks, stronger than oceans, wind-swept, God-blessed, and teeming with people of all kinds living in harmony and peace." It's fair to say, I think, that the fuel that has helped that city shine like a beacon has been knowledge, a love of learning, education, and the free flow of information. Our charge is to keep that beacon glowing, bright, through this century and into the next. And that means coming together to improve and reimagine American education. So Let's get started. To begin today's conversations, we open with our first State of Education conversation moderated by Romy Drucker, the K-12 Education Program Director of the Walton Family Foundation and the Chair of the National Governors Association, the 46th Governor of Arkansas, Asa Hutchinson.